Everybody, what's going on out there in the world? Welcome to the Friday, April 9th edition of studentloanjustice.org. We are Student Loan Justice. We are the oldest, largest, in many ways only true grassroots citizens group fighting only and absolutely for student loan justice. If you've got student loans, you came to the right place. Suffice it to say. So we've been doing this for 16 years now. We've been featured on 60 Minutes, on NPR and PBS, and the New York Times, and Los Angeles Times, Wall Street Journal. We've broken stories in the Chronicle of Higher Education, in the Wall Street Journal, many other places. Most recently, I'm happy to announce this week has been great for us, folks, and I hope that you all are stoked. Our report that found that many U.S. states, like 18, we said 19, but I think I actually miscounted. I think it's actually 18 states in the union owe more than their entire than their entire state budget in student loan debt. This was reported in Yahoo News at the Business Insider on, I think, Monday or Tuesday. And then we were interviewed, a couple days ago, Wednesday, on Fox News Radio about it. So it's really kind of blowing up in the media, and that's a good thing. Maybe the most important thing right now is that our petition that we started over a year ago, calling for the president to cancel student loans by executive order, and this petition is what started that entire national conversation that we're seeing right now, by the way. Good on us. Is now up to 991,000, I think 400 or 500 signatures. So we are very close to 1 million signatures now, folks. And if you look over there, you can see the link to the petition. Do everything you can over the weekend to get a couple people that you know to sign. I'm here to tell you, folks, we've been doing this for a long time. Research is our mainstay. It's the first thing that we do. And I'm here to tell you, this lending system is catastrophically failed. There are 45,400,000 federal-only student loan borrowers in the country. And even before the pandemic, 80% of them were never going to be able to repay their loans, even before the pandemic. So you can call it whatever you want, but what this is a failed lending system. If you've been sitting there for years suffering in silence, welcome. We're glad that you found us. You shouldn't do that. It's not good for you. You are much more valuable helping us fight this injustice, and it is an injustice. Remember, folks, every loan in this country has bankruptcy protections. Every loan in this country has statutes of limitations. Every loan in this country most loans in this country fall under truth in lending laws, Fair Debt Collection Practice Act laws. So student loans have been stripped uniquely of those. So I am here to tell you, this lending system is unconstitutional. I kid you not. The founding fathers, they themselves, Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, Robert Morris, and others, were being screwed under debt to British banks and merchants. And when they wrote the Constitution, they called for uniform bankruptcy laws ahead of the power to declare war, ahead of the power to raise an army, ahead of the power to coin currency, ahead of the power to create a judiciary. So this student loan scam is exactly what the founders wished to avoid. So almost nobody is paying on their loans right now. And in my humble opinion, nobody should ever again pay on their federal student loans, certainly. So there's two things we're fighting for. At this point, for the first 16 years of our existence, we were fighting very moderately for the return of bankruptcy protections to all student loans. And that still absolutely needs to happen. It is very important that that happens. But now, at this late date, we are calling on the president to cancel not up to $10,000, not up to $50,000, but rather cancel all 100% of all federal student loans. By executive order, by the way. It's a very important distinction. We cannot count on Congress to cancel loans. It's never going to happen because of the pay-go rules. Congress would need to raise $1 for every dollar in student loans they wanted to cancel, and that's just ridiculous on its face. The taxpayers paid for these loans many years ago, and they didn't pay much, by the way. My best guess is that of the $1.8 trillion outstanding, or let's say the $1.566 trillion in outstanding federal student loan debt, I don't think the government is on the hook for more than maybe 100 or 200, maybe 300 billion of that. In other words, the vast majority of that is interest, penalties, and fees, that kind of thing. It's not original unpaid principal. So there is no cheaper or easier way to stimulate the economy, folks. And we're in a pandemic still. We've lost 20 million jobs, probably more, quite frankly, through this COVID stuff. So it's time to get these loans canceled. By the way, if you have any questions or comments, throw them out. I'm probably not going to go for another 5 minutes or so. So if you have any questions or comments, throw them out now. And if I can see them, which I sometimes cannot, I will certainly respond to them. But I hope you all are pleased. A year ago, I was begging Joe Biden on the campaign trail in Iowa, begging him to fight for the return of bankruptcy protections. And he shut me down. Eyeball to eyeball, Joe Biden shut me down. He was like, oh, no, but we don't need bankruptcy because my repayment plans are going to be so great, blah, 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 blah. Well, that's nonsense. So we put our nose to the grindstone. And by the way, we followed all of the candidates all over Iowa. You name the candidate, we got eyeball to eyeball with them, Joe Biden included. So we worked very hard. We were successful in getting Elizabeth Warren to include bankruptcy in her presidential campaign. Not only that, we were able to convince Elizabeth Warren to pledge that as president on day one, she would issue an executive order returning standard constitutional bankruptcy protections to student loans. So that was pretty good, but most importantly, because she didn't win the nomination, obviously, Joe Biden wound up adopting her bankruptcy plan. And again, I think we can claim quite a bit of credit for that. We were talking to his campaign manager, Greg Schultz, quite a lot in those days, and we asked him point blank to adopt her bankruptcy plan or match it, and they did. So, but most impressive that we did was that while we were a voice in the wilderness, we started calling for loan cancellation in March of 2020. We were a voice in the wilderness for many, many months on this. Well, lo and behold, the Warren people, who we also were close to. So we were close to we talked closely with three campaigns: Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, and Joe Biden. And so lo and behold, we asked Elizabeth Warren to consider loan cancellation by executive order. And then she got kicked out of the campaign. She lost. And then November, thankfully, Elizabeth Warren and Chuck Schumer, I'm not going to say stole, maybe appropriate, well, let's just say, Elizabeth Warren and Chuck Schumer embraced the concept of canceling student loans by executive order. And so today, here we are a year later, and there's an excellent chance. I mean, I would be surprised if we couldn't get bankruptcy returned to student loans this congressional session. That is the most important thing, by the way, because right now, hey, Lauren, how's it going? Right now, the reality is that our opposition really hates bankruptcy. They hate it. It is their kryptonite. It is the number one thing Our opposition would rather see some lame partial loan cancellation, even by executive order, than to see standard bankruptcy protections returned to these loans. In fact, I think that's what our opposition wants, and that's what they're fighting for. So we're seeing the press look considerably favorably on loan cancellation in general, but they managed to bound it by this up to $10,000, up to $50,000 nonsense. So The worst outcome for us right now would be this. We get some kind of a loan cancellation, whether it's by Congress or by executive order, of up to $10,000 or up to $50,000. Well, I'm here to tell you, the up to part means we're going to screw you. That's just, that's Washington speak for, yeah, it's not going to be that. So this up to $50,000 will become almost nothing for most people. The Department of Education is extremely good at claiming to be forgiving loans, but actually not forgiving loans. You know, the disqualification rate for public service loan forgiveness is 99%. The disqualification rate for all of the so-called IDR programs that are out there, it's far more than 90%, 99%, you know, of several million people, probably 5, 6, 7 million people who signed up for one or another of the so-called income-driven repayment programs. 32 people. That's 32. Like, you could fit them in my little dank living room here. That's how many people actually qualified for loan cancellation through these so-called IDR lending programs. So it's just ridiculous, folks. We cannot trust the people in Washington to not screw us. They have shown time and time again over the past 16 years that is what they do. That, in fact, that's the only thing that they do, is find ways to screw us. So be very careful, guys. We're thrilled that Elizabeth Warren and Chuck Schumer have embraced the concept and are actively promoting loan cancellation by executive order. But I'm telling you guys, we have to fight far, far harder. What would make me feel much, much better would be, yeah, so put the loan cancellation off to the side. First and foremost, we need to get our bankruptcy bankruptcy rights back as they exist for every other type of loan in this country. And if we don't see something at least to that end by, I'm going to say, like June, like 2 months from today, roughly, we're going to burn our loan papers somewhere, probably on the internet. We'll probably do a national virtual burning. But on that note, I want to put this bug in your ear. If you think you might be able to make it to Boston, Massachusetts around July 4th, if you think you might be able to make it to Washington, D.C. around June 27th, or possibly July 17th, right? That's kind of the dates that we're looking at. We are very seriously considering going to Washington and burning our loan papers for all to see. So keep that in mind. We've demonstrated in Washington, D.C. dozens and dozens and dozens of times. It's actually kind of fun. During the summer, you know, you can really have a good time with it. And there is no better use of your time or even your vacation money. You know, Washington, D.C. is a great place to visit for maybe a few days. I wouldn't recommend living there, though. I can say from first-hand experience. But okay, guys. Well, hey, I've gone a little bit longer than I had intended to, but I hope you all are pleased. We're really kicking ass this week. I hope you noticed. But we need to seize that momentum and build on it. So right now, do everything you can to get at least 1 or 2 people that you know to sign that petition. Paste the link to the petition in around 20 to 25 places this weekend. If everybody on this group were to do that, we would blow past 1 million signatures and, incidentally, be one of the biggest petitions in the history of change.org. So kind of a big deal, I think. So consider that. The last thing I will say is if you can please make a donation at this time would be particularly helpful. Thanks to everybody who's been pitching in lately. You know, we survive and thrive on very little funding from distressed student loan borrowers and just personal gifts. That's it. Just nickel and dime donations. And we don't need much to survive, to fight, and win this battle, but we cannot do it on nothing. So if you could go to studentloanjustice.org/support, that would be just super helpful at this time. We're kind of bouncing along the bottom on funding right now. We've got a few bills coming up and so on and so forth. So please help if you can. And with that, I will wish you all a great weekend. I will be back on Sunday and Monday. Get ready to hit it hard this week, guys. These are your loans. This is your problem. And we're getting places, but we need your help right now. We've got to up our ante. We've got to double, triple down in effort. So please, your loans, your problem. When you do nothing, nothing happens. Pull your weight. It's actually kind of fun. And so please just keep that in mind. All right, folks, with that, I will wish everybody good luck getting the petition around. Good luck helping us get to over 1 million signatures. Godspeed. God bless everybody.